Yes, Raneem, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. So, as I discussed with you, we'll be starting with the chapter EMI. So, see, this is the fourth unit, EMI and AC. So, electromagnetic induction is just chapter 6th of NCRT, while alternating current is chapter 7th of NCRT. When we start with electromagnetic induction, see, till the fourth chapter, basically till the fourth chapter, what did we study? That if a current carrying wire is there, it will give rise to magnetic field. That was the whole point of the fourth chapter. We saw whether this will give rise to the magnetic field or not, right? And we could see,
Yes.
yes, through this wire, through a solenoid, through a toroid, and different things, current is leading to magnetic field. So we see that current, when we have electric current, this is leading to the magnetic field. Now, if we reverse it, now this chapter focuses that what if you have the magnetic field at the first place? Will it give rise to any current? Is this possible? Because we never saw this case. We always saw that current carrying wire is there. Yes, it will produce magnetic field because of Biot-Savart law and the rest of the experiment. So this magnetic field giving rise to current was the question which was solved by the scientist Faraday. And answer
Ma'am,
was yes.
is there a real life example?
Real life example of what?
Magnetic field being converted to current.
What?
Ma'am, magnetic field being converted to current.
Lots and lots of examples are electromagnetic induction is used in so many things. Electromagnetic furnace, you have the eddy currents that move the entire apparatus in the industries. So many examples are there where magnetic field AC generators are based on this principle, the transformers are based on this principle. Everything is there. So when we talk about the first topic, which is magnetic flux basically means we have a plane surface. And let's say many magnetic field lines are coming out of the plane surface. So these are many magnetic field lines that are coming. Let's say these are the number of field lines. Now, whichever is making an angle of 90-degree means whichever magnetic field line is perpendicular, we count that as one. So we can say one, two, three. We did electric flux topics, so this won't be difficult for you. You have already studied. So just represent this with a symbol B so that you can differentiate. That was for electric field, this is for magnetic field. That's it. Okay. The concept just has a difference of magnetic field and electric field. Whatever we studied for electric field will be repeated as it is. It's just that here, instead of the electric field, we'll have the magnetic field. Okay. So magnetic flux will straight away be 3. Number of field lines crossing an area normally, or normally basically means perpendicularly. But Raneem, the problem is that every time it's not possible to give the number of magnetic field lines. What if you just know what's the value of the magnetic field? You don't know how many field lines are actually crossing and which are perpendicular. So for that purpose, we require the formula. So let's say we have this plane surface. The surface area, let's say, is S. This is the surface area. And there are certain magnetic field lines that are moving across. So what we do, the first step, the way we did it in electrostatic flux also, we drop a perpendicular. That perpendicular is known as the area vector. Means area vector has to be drawn wherever your magnetic field is there. What will you do? Your first step will be you will have to drop an area vector which will be completely perpendicular to the surface. Wherever your surface is like this, the magnetic field should be there. Completely, area vector should be there. Now, angle between the area vector and the magnetic field is considered. You don't consider the angle between the magnetic field and the plane of the coil or whatever surface it is. You always consider this is your theta. Theta always has to be the angle between the magnetic field and the area vector. Because many a times this angle could also be given to you. You will not consider this one, you'll only consider between the magnetic field and the area vector. Now, formula is simple. You write the magnetic flux as B dot A. I've used S. I've used S, so I'm also using S here. B dot S. In dot product, what do we get? Sine or cos?
Yes. Ma'am, in dot product, cos, no?
Cos. Yes. Magnetic flux will be magnitude of magnetic field, surface area into cos theta. And when we talk about this theta is the same angle between the magnetic field and the area vector. One thing, if you have variable surface area, if something is variable, you can always integrate B dot ds. Okay, whatever limits are required, you can put. So anyways, the way electric flux was a scalar quantity, magnetic flux is also a scalar quantity. SI unit is Weber. Okay, the SI unit is Weber, represented as WB. So this is all about magnetic flux, which you should know, and the questions are exactly similar to electric flux. Right. So I'll practice few questions with you, but before that you note it down, then we'll, okay. Do you want to write this part also
No, ma'am.
from the chapter only directly? Sir? Do this, then we'll move on to the questions. Okay.
Ma'am, done. Ma'am, done. Ma'am, done.
All right. Let's practice some questions, Sunil. See, this says that magnetic field of 2 Tesla exists in space. It is inclined at 30 degree with the plane. Calculate the magnetic flux through it if the area is 10 meters square. So, what's the value of magnetic field given, Rani?
Ma'am, 2 Tesla.
2 Tesla. What's the area given?
Uh, 10 meters square.
10 meters square. What is the angle that I should put?
Cos 30 degree.
Why?
Ma'am, because it's BS cos theta. No?
Okay, if it is BA cos theta, what was the definition of theta, Raneem?
It was the angle between area vector and magnetic field.
Exactly. If it says, let's say this is the magnetic field. Is this the angle between area vector and magnetic field? 30 degrees? See, it says with the plane. That is not area vector. Okay, with the plane means this is a plane surface and this is the magnetic field. So it is making an angle of 30 degree like this with the surface. You have to take the perpendicular. I told you the first step here is you will always lose mark if you don't take it. This is the area vector. The area vector has to be written. Okay, has to be drawn. And see if this is 30 degree, so obviously this will be 60 degree. So this won't be. See, your answers will be different now if you use cos 30 and cos 60.
Yes.
So this will be 2 into 10 into cos 60 degree. So magnetic flux is 10 whips. Okay, now it's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Write this one more question we see.
Ma'am, done.
Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's move to the next question. See, these two questions, no, very similar to this. We've done it in electric flux also. When you'll see the notes, no. So this way you are revising that part also. Now see, it says that magnetic field of Ni cap plus 3j cap plus k cap, this much Tesla is existing. Okay. And it says through an area. Now the surface area is 2. No, unit vector is not given. So when it says xy plane, if I say xy plane, this is the x-axis, let's say this is the y-axis. See, Raneem, we'll have to drop an area vector. As I told you, we'll always have to drop an area vector. Can you tell me where this area vector will point? Okay, this is yz. Sorry, wait. This is y and z. Yeah, where will it point?
Ma'am, towards positive x.
Yes,
Axis.
very good. Yes, correct. See, all the three axes are perpendicular to each other. Y and
Yes.
z are mentioned, so perpendicular to it will be the x-axis only. Okay, so yes, and is the unit vector that we use for the Cartesian form for x-axis?
I cap.
I. So now when we take the dot product, the magnetic flux is B dot S. The magnetic field is 10 I cap plus 3 J cap plus cap dot. Surface area is 2 I cap. Now see 10 into 2 makes it 20. 3 into 0 is 0. 1 into 0 is 0. So 20 Webers is the answer. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right it. Now we'll move on to the Faraday's experiment where we left, which you were asking also, the everyday example. So one example is such that was performed by Faraday, but we'll be discussing it. Okay. Right it. Then we'll start with that.
Ma'am, done.
Okay. Now, see, let me talk about the Faraday's experiment. So, basically, the whole question that came up was that will the magnetic field ever give rise to current? So, to prove this, initially there wasn't anything. We are discussing the experiments done by him. So, think about that time. So, you know nothing about magnetic flux during that time and all. Okay. So, what was concluded? What did he do was he took a coil, just just he one straight wire into the form of a coil, and the other end, on the other hand, he just connected it with a galvanometer. We've already started moving coil galvanometer, remember? Did we?
Yes,
So what was the function of a galvanometer?
ma'am, to detect current.
Exactly, to detect current. So now see, there is no battery in your circuit. One is the current produced by a battery. Okay, we are not talking about this current that is produced by the battery. We are seeing, will the magnetic field give rise to current or not? So what did he do? He took a bar magnet and he brought it closer with certain velocity. Whatever is the velocity, he brought it closer. So eventually what happened? All the magnetic field lines, they came up because magnet is brought closer to the coil, so magnetic fields arise, magnetic field lines are there. Now what was observed by him was that there was a deflection in the coil. So if there's a deflection, it means yes, if the galvanometer shows a deflection, showed deflection, shows that to us that current is existing. Current, how did the current come? When the bar magnet was brought closer to the coil, then the galvanometer showed a deflection. That meant that yes, current was there in the circuit when the came close. That means magnetic field can also induce current. Got it?
Ma'am, so the current was induced due to the thermal velocities of electrons or something.
No, it was induced due to magnetic field. Thermal velocities will come due to the battery, drift velocity and all. We studied that in current electricity. This was there due to magnetic field.
It was
Like
induced on the electrons in the conductor.
what?
Ma'am, was it induced on the free electrons in the conductor?
Yes, yes. So electrons were there. That's why you have the current. Current means electrons are moving. When we say the term current, it means electrons are considered directly. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now there was a second experiment also to confirm. What did he do was he took the coil again. Basically, what is he doing? He's just taking a single wire and he is wrapping it with a galvanometer. Now this time he took a bar magnet. Still, he took the bar magnet just for a confirmatory test. In chemistry, you must have studied confirmatory tests. We study. So
Yes, ma'am.
similarly, here also. Now, what did he do was instead of moving the bar magnet closer, he moved the coil. This time the coil was moving. Coil was moving. So what will happen? There won't be any difference when the coil comes nearer to the magnetic field. Again, magnetic field lines are coming out, and that shows that the galvanometer is showing a deflection. These kinds of current, no, which were actually not present at the first place, but are coming, we call them as induced current. Or I'll write this. This current is known as the induced current. Okay, one more thing, Raneem. If induced current is there, you will have voltage also. So we have these two terms, induced current and induced EMF. Now, when
Ma'am,
we
but
say
isn't induced current very little?
induced current,
Ma'am, isn't it very little in this case?
in this case,
Yes.
no, why? Both the cases are eventually same, na? A bar magnet brought closer, coil is
Yes, ma'am,
getting,
but due to bar magnet, wouldn't the current be very less?
no, same bar magnet is taken for both. You're not taking a different bar magnet with a different strength or a different length. Same
Yeah.
bar magnet is taken. Okay, so same result you will get. Main purpose, he just wanted to confirm. Whenever you're doing something new, you just check for your satisfaction. Okay, let me move this and check. That's what he did. There was a lot of theory which you don't have to see, but these things are there in your NCRT, so basics of them should be in your. So what happens basically, when the magnetic field is changed, there's a change in the magnetic field, and if the magnetic field is changed, do you think the flux will change or not?
Flux will vary though.
What?
Flux. Ma'am, it will change
Why?
because magnetic is directly proportional.
And how do you know that?
Formula.
Formula. See, because of the magnetic flux formula. Magnetic flux, we know it is BA cos theta. It means if B changes, it will affect flux, right? This will affect it and this will affect it. So similarly, magnetic field changes, flux changes. And these things induce the induced current or induced EMF. So we use this term induced current and induced EMF so as to differentiate it. Okay, so that we can differentiate, and we know that this is not the current generated by the battery. This is not the current which we study in current electricity. This is the current because of the presence of the magnetic field. Okay,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay. There was one third experiment done. A soft iron rod was taken and wire was wrapped first on the galvanometer, and it was wrapped connected to a battery and a key and a rheostat. Now, basically, see Raneem, you will not be able to understand this because we haven't done AC. Alternating current was checked through this experiment, but what is the alternating current and all that we will study. But just for the notes part, you draw and write it in your notes so that when you will do that chapter, at the end you should have the complete picture. Right now, you will not be able to understand because you don't even know the definition of AC properly. That when we'll discuss, then we'll know. Okay. So here also basically a deflection was shown. So alternating current was also there. Alternating current could also be produced. Okay. So see Rani, basically you have to remember one point is, remember magnetic field should change. We never said magnetic field should increase or magnetic field should decrease. There should be a change. When we say change, change can be anything. There could be an increase in the magnetic field. There can be a decrease in the magnetic field. Correct? There has to be a change. You look, is there a change in the magnetic field or not? Then you look, same thing for the flux. You'll have to figure the change. You see, when we talk about the change, change means is it increasing or is it decreasing? Increase or decrease. If these conditions are there, then definitely in your system you will have induced current or induced EMF. Now, this induced EMF is directly depending upon the flux, right? This is directly depending upon the flux. So see, what was the exact conclusion by Faraday? We didn't discuss that. Let us discuss that right now only because we just discussed this one. See, he said that whenever the magnetic flux linked with a closed circuit changes, see, he used the term name changes. He never said it increases or decreases. So even if a quantity is decreasing, don't neglect the induced current or induced EMF. You have to consider it. Don't neglect it because you are not concerned with whatever increment is there or decrement is there. You are just concerned with that there should be a change. Small change, big change, lesser change, greater change, decreasing change, increasing change, there should be a change. So basically it said that whenever the flux changes, increases or decreases in the circuit, an induced EMF and induced current both are present. Induced current and induced EMF are present. This was his first conclusion. Second conclusion that he could make was, if the flux is increasing more, EMF will be more. If the flux is increasing more, the EMF will be more. Flux is less, EMF will be less. So basically, he could notice that this EMF is directly proportional to the flux. Okay. So
Yes.
higher the rate of the magnetic flux with closed circuit, greater is the EMF induced. Now it said rate of magnetic flux. We have discussed this term rate quite often. Rate of magnetic flux means
Time.
rate of magnetic flux means
Time.
y- yeah, say
Time divided by time.
what divided by time?
Ma'am, rate means divide
Rate
per
means divided by
second.
time, but what is getting divided? Magnetic flux. So d phi over dt. Okay. This basically says that rate of magnetic flux. So if we write this, is it better?
Yes,
EMF is
ma'am.
directly proportional to rate of magnetic. This is basically the rate of magnetic. These two conclusions are clear. Magnetic flux increasing, magnetic flux decreases, induced current and induced EMF will be there. And this EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux. Okay. This is the rate of magnetic flux. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now the numericals come from this part. So this I'll elaborately tell you after this. Proper.
Ma'am, is induced EMF and current both noted by E?
No. Induced current by I, EMF by E.
Here you have written only
Where?
the second formula.
Yeah. What?
Induced current or induced EMF?
EMF. EMF. See, EMF is getting induced. You use the Ohm's law. E is equal to IR. This will also be induced. The higher the rate of the magnetic flux with closed circuit, the greater is the induced EMF or current. Induced EMF will only give rise to current, no, using the formula of Ohm's law. So both can be calculated. You put the resistance, you will get current. So basically, main law focused on this because from EMF, lots of things could be reduced. Like Ohm's law could be utilized to write the current, and current could be utilized to write the charge. That I'll tell you then in the next part. Okay, this is EMF. E for EMF and I for current. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So Randim, write these and just write the experiments also in your language also, wherever you have it. Because experiments writing usually not come, but it should be there in your notes because when you'll revise, you have to revise from there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, done. Ma'am, done. I'm done.
Yeah, done, Raneem?
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay. So see, Faraday's laws of EMI, this basically says that the induced EMF is equal to the rate of change of flux.
Yes.
So see, the formula is basically minus d phi over dt. There's a topic here only in this chapter, Lenz law. That Lenz law will basically define this negative sign. Okay, that we'll talk about. That's a topic that we have to discuss in detail. So that cannot be just discussed in 2 minutes. Just remember that this minus sign is due to the Lenz law. Now see, when we write, see, you can write this as this also. If not a very small quantity is given, minus delta phi as delta t as well. Okay, like we did in current, when time duration was there, when something was variable, we used this. But when a particular duration you could observe, we used the change one. This was for time instant. So same thing, it's just pi by t is there with a minus sign. And minus sign says Lenz law. Now, Lenz law we'll talk later. It's a separate topic because lots of questions come from that. So we'll discuss it as a separate topic. So see, if I say change in flux, I can say minus final flux minus initial flux divided by time. This is often used in the calculation. Now, as we discussed that if resistance is there, so Ohm's law will be utilized. This is what? This is basically the Ohm's law.
Yes, ma'am.
So current will be equal to C. E can be written as d phi over dt is equal to I into R. So we can say current is equal to 1 by R d phi over dt. This is also a formula that has been used recently in one of the questions. So it's easy. You just know d phi over dt, and you just keep on using the things that you already know. Like see,
Ma'am,
electric charge is dq over dt.
can
If
you
I put
repeat?
yeah, dq over dt from this side, instead of current I've written. What is this here? 1 by R d phi over dt. Time will be cancelled. Basically, the charge that we'll get is the change in flux by the resistance. Like I'll show you a question. Let me discuss. See, this says that a 10 ohm resistor has 1000 turns. Okay. So resistance is 10 ohm and the number of turns are 10 to the power 3. And at a time, 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 Weber. This means initial flux is 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 Weber. Passes through it, if flux falls to, what's the final flux? It is saying if it falls to zero point 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 Weber in zero point 0.1 seconds. Time is given us as 1.1 seconds. Find EMF generated in volt and charge flown through the coulomb. Um, see, for the EMF, number of turns are there. So we'll just write minus n d phi over dt. Basically, you're multiplying it. So that will make, what is the change in flux? Final flux minus the initial flux by the change in the time. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so here if we talk, the number of turns are 1000, minus sign is there. This is
Yes.
final is zero point 0.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 minus initial is 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 and divided by time is 10 to the power minus 1. I'm writing it as 10 to the power minus 1 so it cancels easily. Okay. See, this goes up. That will be 10 to the power 4, 1000 and one more zero. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And see, this minus sign is there. And when I subtract zero point 0.5 with 5.5, that will give me minus 5 into 10 to the power minus 4. Will it?
Yes, ma'am.
Negative negative will be cancelled. So EMF eventually comes out to be 5 into 10 to the power minus 4. Sorry, not minus 4. Minus 4 and minus 4 will be cancelled. So only 5. They will be cancelled, not 10 to the power.
Yes,
These
ma'am.
5 volt is the answer. It says charge. See, for charge, what did we study? Whatever is the change in the flux that we know is 5 into 10 to the power minus 4 divided by the resistance. And what's the resistance? 10. So that makes it 5 into 10 to the power. This will be minus 1. So minus 5 here. Okay. But this is just for one turn. You have n number of turns. So that will be here only. I'll write n. So this is 10 to the power 3. That makes it 5 into 10 to the power minus 2 coulomb as the charge. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Ranim, there is just one question left. See, more or less the topic is completed. The next topic, Lenz law, I'll start in the next class probably. But you first complete, because if time is left, then I'll complete this question. Lenz law we'll start in the next class. So two topics are done today: magnetic flux and Faraday's laws of EMI. Okay. Okay. Write it. Ranim, I'll have to off with namaz meanwhile. So what you do, you write it. When you are done, just type there in the chat box. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Raneem, then where have you written? Raneem? Yes, Raneem, you there?
Yes, ma'am. Last part I'm
Yeah.
writing first.
From here. Okay, Raneem, you can take the screenshot of this one, which is completed. We'll continue this in the next class. Okay, then.